Welcome to Bite Size Bios. This is meant to be a mini-sode that will accompany HDTH. Every week, I will pick a person from history and dive into their lives. All right, welcome back to another episode of Bite Size Bios, BSB. Coming at you with episode number 4 here. We're talking about Charlie Chaplin. The last one was Oprah Winfrey. Hope everybody enjoyed that. That one was different, to do research on somebody who was still alive. And so, but I do want to tackle more, people like that. I want to start tackling people whenever I see them now, but I want to, start getting more different, profiles. That's kind of the whole point of this, is not just to do the people that I've kind of started with. Except those were just some kind of softballs I can kind of throw myself. But yeah, here we are on episode 4 of BSB. I don't think there's that much more to say. I don't think there's anything I need to get out to the masses, to you guys. Appreciate you listening. Always, the numbers keep going up, and I appreciate it. Subscribe where you can. Follow where you can. Without further ado, here's the episode. Charlie Chaplin, whose full name is, or was Sir Charles Spencer Chaplin Jr. He was born on April 16th, 1889. His parents were Hannah and Charles Sr., and they were both in the entertainment business, and they had been married for about 4 years before young Charles came into this world. Chaplin's early years were spent with his mother and his brother Sidney in the London district of Kennington. This is because Charlie's father basically dipped out as soon as he was born and went on tour and kind of never came back. Well, not kind of, he did not come back. Let's see. Hannah never made much money. This caused the family to live in a workhouse. This was new for me. I didn't know what a workhouse is. A workhouse is a place where people with no money could go and live and work if they didn't have enough money to support themselves. And basically, your wage, the wages you earn would, suffice to pay your rent, so you could live in the workhouse. It's just a circle that goes around and around and around. Eventually, Hannah would be committed to a mental hospital due to a debilitating case of syphilis. During this time, Chaplin and his brother were sent to live with their father, who was such a bad father/alcoholic that the National Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Children had to step in, which is pretty wild when you think about it, because kids were working 12-hour shifts during that time, and they were just like, the things that this guy is doing to these kids is a little bit too much. His father would die not too long after this. Let's see, we get to his early roles in the theater. Well, not really the theater, in the vaudeville, and this guy comes along in a little bit of a transitional time in Western media. Chaplin was touring with the 8 Lancashire Lads, and his mother ensured that he still attended school, but by the age of 13, he just gave up on school, and he dabbled, as we said, in theaters, as well as dancing troupes, and he found his way to the vaudeville, and he really wowed audiences, and he was described as one of the best pantomime artists ever seen. While on a trip to New York, which I believe was his first trip to America, he was approached by Keystone Studios to begin a career in acting because they just saw his prowess and loved his chops. And he met with the company and signed for a $150 a week contract, which that time was pretty ballin'. Let's see, and he arrived in Los Angeles not too long after that, and basically started working on movies. It wasn't until Chaplin's second film, which, if you really get into the release of these movies, the second film is called Kid Auto Races at Venice. These titles definitely, could use a little punch up. But really what it is like, he filmed a movie. I don't know if I put the name of it in here. I don't think I do. But so basically it's hard to describe, but they film these movies and put them out whenever they want. So to say it's his second movie, it's not like today where it's like, oh, he had a movie last year, or he had a movie in the spring, and he has a movie in the fall. It's like they recorded these movies so fast, and they're like 20 minutes long. So yeah, his second film was what really made him famous. But really is the name. It wasn't until the third film that was released where he really created the character of Little Tramp, which is what people are known as. If you look at a picture of Charlie Chaplin and you recognize it, that's usually him dressed as the Little Tramp. It is an iconic costume that it was an entire outfit. And he was quoted about the Little Tramp as saying, "I wanted everything to be a contradiction, right? The pants, baggy, the coat, tight, the hat, small, the shoes, large. He added a small mustache, which would then go on to other fame. as you know, which he reasoned would add age without hiding his expression. Right. This is all stuff he worked at creating this character. He had no idea that the character would be what it was. But the moment he was dressed as the tramp, the little tramp, and the clothes and the makeup all made him feel as if he was, in fact, the little tramp. And he began to really kind of know this character inside and out. And so the little tramp was Chaplin's cash cow, and by 1926, he would be the highest paid actor in Hollywood. In 1918, he married his first wife, Mildred Harris, and this was because she told him that he was pregnant. And once they got married, her pregnancy just mysteriously vanished. And this caused Chaplin to believe that she faked the pregnancy. This pattern followed with a couple of more women. It gets really dark here, and I'm not going to get into it, but this guy is I don't know, he's layered. Charlie Chaplin is a very multi-layered man that we will not delve into on this podcast. But let's see. Yeah, so it's a pattern that keeps developing. He grooms these girls. They're all very young. It's all very like Leo DiCaprio type-esque sort of things in their teens. He would do this through the Great Depression. His film career kind of went down a little bit. In Chaplin, he ended up leaving America and embarked on a world tour. He came back with less than favorable political ideas, and his life in the 30s saw him become a communist sympathizer. So that's what things kind of went left for this guy. He would even be investigated by J. Edgar Hoover, which, if you know anything about him, I mean, who wasn't investigated by J. Edgar Hoover? So, and by 1974, Chaplin was wheelchair bound and had suffered several strokes. And in 1975, he was knighted by Queen Elizabeth, and he died of a stroke 2 years later in 1977. And the next year, his body was exhumed by grave robbers, and they actually held it for 2 months because they wanted ransom for it. And they ended up being captured by the police. So that's probably bearing the lead about probably the most important or interesting part about his death is that right after he died, they dug him up and held him for ransom. That's Charlie Chaplin. Thank you for listening to another episode of Bite Size Bios, BSB. This has been number 4 about Charlie Chaplin. I always appreciate you guys stopping by and pressing play. We're gonna keep grabbing these people out of the air and finding out about their lives. So yeah, see you guys in a couple days when we do HDTH.